Hey guys, Jason, and this is my Cryptocurrencies Podcast. This podcast, as you might interpret, has to do a lot with cryptocurrencies. I talk about the news, the facts, the prices, just kind of an all-around, news story about cryptocurrencies. This podcast usually lasts about an hour long, and I plan on getting it onto iTunes and various other sites as it progresses. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, here recently in the last week, cryptocurrencies haven't been doing too well. You can really account this to Bitcoin's price. Bitcoin, sadly enough, hasn't done exceptionally well. Now today, as it being the 9th of December, we've seen an increase back in Bitcoin's price to around $900, $980 I think is the max. And that shows substantial, regrowth into the economy. One of the things that really brought this thing down was the idea that maybe, and I did a video about this, the idea that maybe China, when I talked about it, I thought it was a great thing. I thought, well, hey, look, for the first time, they're saying, Bitcoin is a commodity, even though you might not be able to buy stuff with it, which I know disgusses a lot of people in Bitcoin. It's stepping stones. You become a commodity, we grow, and then people say, well, maybe it can be a currency. Maybe we misinterpreted the uses that this currency has to offer. And instead, people are, really overvaluing the Chinese market to this extent. Yes, there's a lot of Chinese people, and yes, that really helps the growth of Bitcoin. But one thing people don't really comprehend is the fact that it's okay that it's a currency. It's okay that maybe you can't buy things in China with Bitcoin. Give it time. A lot of people, that blows me away. A lot of people say, oh, well, the reason I, buy Bitcoin is so I can buy things. No, it's not really true. Even though it's against my better judgment, I'll be honest, 90% of people, guess what? They get into Bitcoin or any of the the altcoins, not because they believe in some ideology like many of us do. They get in it because they think they can triple, quadruple, hundredfold their money. And that's the sad truth. So when you say, well, the reason the Bitcoin prices went down is because nobody can buy things with Bitcoin in China, that's not really 100%, truthful. Because most people are probably buying it in China. They're not buying it to buy goods, most likely. They're buying it to store wealth and, let that wealth accumulate and, and have rapid increase in value. So why the market kind of deemed that down so low doesn't get, I think it went down to like $600 at its lowest peak point, which is crazy. It blows me away. And that's the market for you. That's speculation, and it's going to happen. One of the things is there's so few news about Bitcoin, on the mainstream and stuff that when there is news, it explodes and it causes a huge ripple effect in the price. For instance, my dad, he brought home a newspaper of the, I think it was the New York Times, did an article about the whole, problem in China with Bitcoin. You don't hear them talking about all these new event, the update to the client or anything in these major newspapers. You hear stuff like, oh, hey, China, they just declared Bitcoin a commodity and you can't buy things with it. And so that negative press sometimes affects the price too much, and that can become an issue. So, a lot of people have been asking me, what do I think of the price thing? I think it's a great time. I think people are really overvaluing this price decrease like it's some big deal. Guess what? I wasn't going to buy Bitcoins at $1,200. I bought some. I didn't buy a Bitcoin. I bought like 0.20 Bitcoins, I think. Me and my dad kind of went half and half in, and we bought, I'm pretty sure it was either 0.2 or 0.25 or something around that range. And it ended up being a lot cheaper because we used Coinbase and they locked me in at like $710 versus it now being almost $900, $890, somewhere around that range. And that's a huge advantage to people like me and my father and other investors that instead of looking at it as a negative, we look at it as, hey, you can invest more money into this at a lower price. And one thing that people don't even want to talk about, which is great for this podcast, if you looked at the altcoin prices the last few days, they were down substantially. And we're talking, even though these altcoins supposedly are tied to the USD and other markets like the Eurozone and stuff, they're so closely connected to Bitcoin that when something, news-wise comes out about Bitcoin, it usually reflects that onto the cryptocurrencies. And also because, you can trade Bitcoins for like Litecoins or for pure coins, and that easeability between the transfer rates kind of affect that price, verification process as well. And that can become an issue, substantially as well in that future case. But one of the things that people don't talk about, you could go out yesterday or the day a couple days before last, and if you want to buy cryptocurrencies, you could make a fortune. Last night, I was talking to my dad. Cork Coin was at 9 cents. Today, it's at 21 cents. It's more than doubled overnight. And that also is because Bitcoin, went up. I think it's like now $250, which is crazy, guys. It just blows me away. And that's a huge, thing that you can increase your price, standpoint as well. So, when people talk about how, when the price goes down, it hurts the economy, I don't really think it does. It hurts the market cap. It hurts what people, perceive Bitcoin's total value is. But it gives you more buying power. And you should use those, these lumps in the price. Instead of frowning over them, you should get involved. You should, if you have the monetary funds, invest, and that's what I encourage, don't, it's kind of like when I go to when I go shopping with my parents and stuff, you go out and I'll use Express for example. As you guys notice, I wear a lot of Express clothes here recently. And if I think it's for we had a coupon. My mom's a big couponer. And she had a coupon where if you spent $100, you got $25 off. And then she had another coupon for like 10% off that. So instead of just paying, full price and being okay with that, don't be okay with that. Go out and get coupons. You look for, prices off. With Bitcoin, look for when those prices kind of lump down and use that, or any of the altcoins, and use that as a hedge, against what you would say. You ever hear the commercial, hedge against inflation? They talk about gold. Well, use Bitcoin as a hedge against, the huge volatility of Bitcoin. The volatileness that Bitcoin and all the altcoins kind of substantially have right now. And that can become an issue. So, the next part of this podcast, I kind of want to talk about some of the updates. I did a video about Namecoin here recently. They got they actually forked, and they actually have a update to the DNS issue they had. One of the things I was reading, I'm going to do a video about this here soon, is about WorldCoin. Apparently, they had a fork of somewhere around November 31st, I believe. It was either November 31st or October 31st. And nobody really talks about that. I checked the forum post. No one even mentioned the fact that they literally forked because they forked it because they had an issue where they had a 51% attack. And some guy took 60,000 world coins and exchanged them for Bitcoins. And so they forked back their client system and their blockchain as well. And it's kind of interesting. It was a really interesting thing. I was trying to find research on it for my video, and nobody talks about it. Literally, the only way I was able to find it is on WorldCoin's website. They have under the news section, they have that listed. So it's kind of, to me, it's kind of like, well, aren't you going to explain it in more detail? I want to know information. I'm an informational grasp person. I love grabbing information. And when I can't, it upsets me. I like having that information, available to myself. So there's that. A lot of people have been asking me too recently, what is my terms that I accept these coins and what, currency sites do I use? I know a lot of people on Twitter, which guys, follow me on Twitter. My name's somewhere on this page. It's awesome. I love Twitter. Personally, I have a lot of kids at school that use Twitter. I think my last tweet was in like March, personally, for my personal account. For my business account, which is the JP Schaumfel one, I love getting out there. If you guys have questions, that's probably the best way to get a hold of me because it literally sends a notification to the top of my phone. So, I'm sitting at school or whatever, and I get a notification. Where if you send me or an email, you send me an email, I get a notification. Where if you send me a message on like YouTube or whatever, it goes to the social part of YouTube. They break it down into promotion, social, and primary or something like that now on Google. And so you don't get a notification. So I only check that. I still check that like 7 or 8 times a day. So you're still gonna get replies. One of the problems I'm having is I have so many emails, and I hate to say this, but it kind of gets to the point, if they're common questions that I know you can Google, sometimes I'll just either reply to you and say, hey, Google that, because you guys got to realize I'm getting over 100 emails a day right now, and for a student that's, still in school, doing homework, and as well trying to research, people don't understand that I spend, anywhere between 3 to 5 hours of research for these, video things I do. Some of them are very simple, like talking about Bitcoin's, client update. And some of them can be quite complex. Like this last one I did on stablecoin, I literally read through all, I think like 30 or some pages of the form, reading through and taking notes. Most people that do videos aren't going to put that much effort into it. But for me, it's you put in what you get out. So for me, if I do good research, hopefully it comes out good research. I know if you watch some of my recent videos, I have a little mic. It might sound a little different. I've had this mic for like 3 or 4 months, but I've started testing it out. Actually, I have a mic right over here off the screen that I'm using. It's a Handy Recorder H4 or something like that. It's a really nice and it cost me like $80. But I can plug it into that audio input, and it kind of feels better because I feel like if the mic's here, you get a little better audio quality. And if I have any problems with people walking upstairs or anything, or the furnace kicking on, you're not going to hear that as much. But anyway, enough about me. You guys probably don't care anyway. So back to cryptocurrencies. Yes, we've seen explosive growth, and I know I had like 12 people say, you got to keep looking at the camera. And one guy actually said I should print out a picture of a girl and put her right behind the camera lens. One of the things, and this probably replies to my cryptocurrency podcast number 2, is in my research videos or in my informational videos, I'm always looking at the camera. But in my last podcast, the first podcast was complete audio. The second podcast, I sat across the room by the Christmas tree. And now, I'm trying to, use, in that last podcast, I didn't really look at the camera very much. And in this one, I'm trying to look at the camera, trying to give you guys eye contact. So if you watch this, I'm giving you eye contact, maybe send me a tweet right now, or, like this video, or even subscribe. That'd be really nice too, But anyway, yeah, I'm going to be using CoinMarketCap right now. And I will get back to the, I'll go to this real quick. People ask me what kind of exchanges I use. I sent them out on Twitter. BTC-E is really the one I use the most. There's some other smaller ones that you can check my Twitter feed for if you really want to know. I don't like saying that they're my favorite, but they really kind of are. They're the ones I personally use and have personally vetted. So I feel more comfortable with those coins. Or not coins, but those exchanges. And people have been asking me what my favorite coins are. One of the problems I have about this is I don't like saying, here's the coins I decided to invest in, because I don't give financial advice whatsoever. But what I do is I have said, I like Peercoin, I like Primecoin, I like IXCoin, I somewhat like Litecoin just because it's so big, and of course I like Bitcoin. So those are some of my top ones. Don't invest on what I like, invest on what you like and what kind of contours to your personal beliefs and monetary investment purposes. For instance, stablecoin seems like a really interesting coin. Personally, I probably won't invest in it because it's a coin designed to kind of help you become anonymous and send coins anonymously. And for me, that's not a big issue. For me, it's kind of like, I don't really care if someone tracks where my coins are going. I don't have that kind of money that, I can understand people that have a lot of money might be concerned, but to be honest, I don't have very much money. So you're going to be like, oh man, that guy's poor. That's basically what you're going to be thinking about when you watch my videos. You know what I mean? You're not gonna be like, oh man, I just found 5,000 Bitcoins he has. If I had those kind of Bitcoins, I'd be a lot better off now than I am right now. But without further ado, let's go to CoinMarketCap.com, which honestly, if anyone's watching that you run CoinMarketCap.com, honestly, if you want to sponsor this podcast, I would love you forever. I know, actually, I've been talking to people right now about sponsoring different videos. I talked about my last podcast. I now have 6 channel things that they want to let them run my channel. It's kind of like what all the gaming channels and everything do, or a partnership is what it's called. And I'm kind of hesitant to that right now. Still trying to decide what I want to do. It's kind of difficult because you're paying them a large percentage. I can't disclose the amounts because of NDAs and everything, but you're paying them a pretty substantial amount of money for you're doing all the work and they're just literally protecting you legally and stuff. So I don't know, I'm a little questionable about that. But anyway, I'm talking so much about me, I guess it's not really that important. Let's get into the crypto coins. So right now, Litecoin is actually at $31. When Bitcoin went down, you saw it lump down. And right now, they're kind of steady. Predictions, I'd probably say it's going to go to $40, $45 by Friday, probably, is what my predictions would say by. Peercoin, man, I'll tell you though, yesterday, Peercoin was at like $3. Now it's at $5.20. It's a 42.23% increase. Almost, half your money increase in 24 hours. I mean, you can't beat that kind of money. You know what I mean? Like, you go to the bank, you're going to give the bank for 2% a year. They're going to keep your money for a year. And you can make, what is it? Almost 50%, 40% in a night, in 12, 24 hours. That's pretty crazy, guys. That's awesome. Now, actually, quite remarkable, Quarkcoin is number 4 now. And this actually blows me away. Quarkcoin actually, oh my gosh. Quarkcoin is at 26 cents. That's crazy. I literally just checked it like 20 minutes ago before I started this podcast. And it is at 21 cents. I'm actually going to click on the chart. I'm actually kind of interested. This might be the highest point yet. Nope, it's not. Man, it's only about half the way. So on December 2nd, apparently Quarkcoin got to about 50 cents. But just in a peak, and then it kind of came down. There was a huge sell-off. That's interesting, though. Very, very interesting. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. It's kind of remarkable. You look at some of these coins, you're just kind of blown away. Of course, Namecoin's up about 25% right now. They're about 724. Honestly, I think I'm kind of surprised. The chart's kind of showing it down quite a little bit over the last day. Honestly, if they just did a fork and they're, updating their client and you can tell their developers are working on things, I would say their price should be up higher. Because that's my personal opinion. Now, this is one coin. This is why everybody's been asking me about. I've got a lot of emails, a lot of questions. Is this WorldCoin? WorldCoin has done exceptionally well. It's now at 83 cents. There are 34.5 million right now. It's up 22% in just one day. People ask me, well, how can I make money on crypto coins? And I tell people, crypto coins are about research and development, but I can understand, they're not just experiments to a lot of people. A lot of people have money they want to invest, or a little bit of money they want to invest, or maybe they even want to mine these coins. And people have asked me, and don't take, I'm not going to give you guys advice because my advice might be wrong. It might not be right, but I'll be honest, this coin's doing really well for itself. I mean, it's at what, December 6th, it's doubled since the 6th. WorldCoin's at 83 cents, so it was about 40 cents a few days ago. I mean, guys, you're doubling your money in 3 days. And now I'm in no way endorsing WorldCoin. I'm not telling you to go out and get WorldCoin. I'm just saying, literally, guys, people ask me, oh my gosh, Bitcoin's down, all the altcoins are down. You should have bought up a few days ago when altcoins were down. I kept telling people, my personal life, hey, look, this is the time to buy these coins. Obviously, people don't understand China. They don't understand the full, reasoning behind China, and they're too narrow-sighted. Guys, I mean, literally, I am rolling down here. I am looking. There is nothing less. I mean, all these coins are exploding right now. They're all going up, and they're all following Bitcoin. I mean, Megacoin is at $1.03 right now. It's crazy. Prime Coin, $4.42. Feathercoin, 54 cents. Feathercoin's going up itself. I mean, it's crazy, guys. I mean, Zetacoin, never even heard of that. I had a couple people email me, want me to do videos on it. It's up 109% today. Let me see if there's anything higher. 109. Nope. So Zetacoin has the highest 24-hour average right now. That's crazy. I won't be able to show you guys the chart on the podcast, but it literally is like down here, and then it just goes up. Remarkable. Wonder how IX Coin's doing. IX Coin's at 13 cents. It's kind of holding steady. I still think IX Coin's a steal right now, but that's my personal opinion. Anyway, so those are kind of the general prices and the increases in prices right now. It's quite interesting when you look around. You're looking at these prices. People ask me, do you think crypto coins can make you a lot of money? Potentially, they can. I was helping my aunt with some family photos that she was getting ready for all the cousins and everything. So over at her house today, and I was telling her about my YouTube channel and how it was exploding and how I was getting all these subscribers, all these views, and so she was asking me, and she was like, "Well, I don't know what this Bitcoin thing is," and I told her, I'm like, "Well, actually, Aunt Kathy, back in March, I was helping her with her computer, and I told her, of course, we hang out all the time, but I told her about Bitcoin back in March. Now, if you know, Bitcoin wasn't very expensive back then. And now look where it's at, you know what I mean? And she's like, wow, I could have tripled my money. I'm like, you probably could have. And she's like, well, do you think I should still get invested? And this is the point I always stress to every single person, even family, friends, anonymous people on the internet. This is what I stress. And I told her, it's a risk. And it's a very, very high risk. No matter how much money you put in, you should only put money in that you're willing to, lose tomorrow. You know what I mean? If you woke up tomorrow and all that money was gone, and you were okay with that, then fine, invest that money. But if not, don't invest money you're not okay with losing. Now, if you guys don't know, my camera just shut off over here, so the viewers watching on YouTube probably haven't seen me for like a minute. I'm going to pause, I'm going to go up and get water, and I'll be back, and I'll finish up this podcast. So I'll be right back, guys. Hey guys, I'm back. Now, I went up, I got some water, I put a roast in the oven for dinner for us, and I had some cookies. So I'm pretty well refreshed. I checked some of my emails. I got some emails updated. And I'm ready to start this podcast back up. So, we're ready to get started. So, sorry. I do that at dinner too. Whenever I get ready to talk, I put food in my mouth. And then you can't talk. people have been asking me, what's some news updates about these cryptocurrencies? Yeah, I'd like to know the price and, but what's some really crazy stuff that's going on right now? One thing I heard from a post by Sunny King, which is his official name. I always mess that up. I always call him like Sun God or whatever, but his official name is Sunny King. And he actually talked about implementing in the Peercoin system an ability to, if you guys don't know, in Peercoin, you have to keep the coins, they have to what they call get old. And so they have to stay in, I think it's like 30 days, 31 days in your wallet before they start, collectively making interest. Well, what he's going to implement is an ability so you can send the newer coins so that your old coins can continue getting, interest, that 1% a year, while the old coins are being kept and the new coins are being spent, basically. And that's something really interesting. I thought that was quite unique, and, it's a system I'm really waiting to see happen. Now, people have been asking me a lot about, do you think the GUI of Bitcoin will really get updated very much? If you don't know, it's not very, stylistic, I guess you could say. It's a very plain, very, modest type of functioning client. It's not meant to be very fancy looking, it's just meant to work. But one of the arguments I've heard is, if you wanted to, if you want other people, the general masses of people to get involved, either create an online wallet system, which, again, I did a whole video about. I'm not very trustworthy of online wallets. Or, create a client that makes it easier to do stuff, more designed, I guess is the word. There are some functions my personally self I want to see in this new, in updates to the GUI. I'm also sure there's probably some, back end stuff they need to get done. But just simpler stuff, like if you want to, I don't know, if you want to add a file into the blockchain, you shouldn't have to do it through the console or whatever. You should be able to just do it through the GUI. Simple things like that I think could really help. Also, one of the things you'll notice is on the blockchain things, sometimes it looks like older or younger blocks, linear line, younger blocks sometimes have, older times than the... So basically, to explain this in layman's terms, the newer mined block looks like it was mined by a timestamp before the previous block, And a lot of people say, maybe you should implement connected to a central time server. And that's been an issue. People have actually discussed, and I think even some of the developers have talked about this, is one of the issues is, do you go off the local time on the machine, like really could, really skew the time. I mean, if you wanted to, and you were mining blocks, you could really skew that time up to make it look like it was, in 2017 if you wanted. Or do you want, I don't know if there's some protocol that it has, if it's too far off, it will correct itself or whatever. But, if it had a central time it was connected to, like open source time server, if you do that, then you're concerned about what if the site goes down, then you have to update it, and then you have to rush that client update out because there's an issue with there's no timestamps being issued then to the block. So, there's really some really interesting questions to what is coming out with GUIs for not only Bitcoin, but all the altcoins here in the near future. And that's what I'm kind of personally waiting to see. Also on news, podcast 3 was not supposed to be done until tomorrow night. But I did 3 videos today, and I had a little bit of free time, and tomorrow I'm going to be kind of busy. I have a robotics club meeting, and I also have to do, for my media class, I have to film a concert. And it might actually be, this video might not get uploaded until Tuesday, which is the 10th. It's being filmed on the 9th of December. And I'm in a media class, and at school, it's interesting. I thought it would be a lot more in-depth. You know what I mean? I don't mean to say anything rude, but I know how to do everything in the class already. Like the editing, like the merging of audio clips and everything, I do this already for my videos. Adding text around the thing and everything, I already do that for videos. Merging and adding transitions, I already know how to do that. So one of the interesting things is our school is very fortunate. We have an amazing multimedia editing room. It's just one computer, but we have a huge audio box system, and that's going to be really, really interesting. Excuse me. This audio box system is, oh my gosh, it's incredible. It's probably a couple grand. We have a $2,000 camera that I worked for the school during the summer, and they were just like, we need a camera, and they were supposed to buy this camera from this guy from this other school because they got a grant for 2, and we were going to buy one off of them for like $1,000. And then they just decided, well, hey, we better just go out and buy a brand new camera. And it's a really, really nice, I think it's Sony camera. It's not a Canon. I think it's a Sony camera. Or no, it's a JVC camera. And it's nice. I've messed around with it a lot. One of the things, actually, it's a really, really nice 1080p camera. I actually would be... I would honestly probably, if I had a chance to do my podcast at school, in a the library or something when no one's there, and get to use that camera. But one of the things, and it's really strange, it uses a really odd file extension that I can't get Adobe Premiere CS6 to work with. That they added some extension protocol to the school's computer, or the two editing computers, so you can use that. So I really can't use it, but trust me, it's a nice camera. But anyway, I get to do that thing tomorrow. Got way off task. But yeah, I get to basically do an entire band concert with my best friend Cody that I'm very close friends with. So I'm really excited about that. That'll be really interesting. But to relate all this back to what I was really talking about, tomorrow I was supposed to do a video with my best friend Dalton. Now, I think I've talked about Dalton before. He's got into Bitcoin. We've traded Bitcoins for cash before and stuff like that. And sorry, my voice is dying off. I've been getting sick here recently. That's why I have a water here. But yeah, he was supposed to come on, and he was either gonna today's his last day for finals. He was either gonna come here, and actually I have another chair just like this. I was gonna kind of do an in-person interview and podcast with him, or he was gonna do it via Skype, and we're gonna have a screen here. But I kind of thought, well, why not tonight? And then we're gonna plan on doing that Wednesday or Thursday night. So you guys are gonna have podcast 3 and 4 really close together. So maybe you guys will enjoy that, maybe not. But the idea is I can ask him as an average person that's just now getting into Bitcoin. Even though he's researched Bitcoin for a while, that finally got into it. I'm going to kind of do a Q&A type session. He's going to kind of give his perspective on the Bitcoin community as an outsider. Because my perspective and my, all my interests and everything kind of resonate from the inside of Bitcoin. Where it'd be really nice and interesting to have someone who's very intelligent, but kind of looks at it from an outside perspective. So, I'm looking at Bitcoin from inside out, and he's looking from outside in. So it adds that unique perspective that I think would be really, really interesting to grasp and get to listen to. So we'll see how that goes. So I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be a really interesting podcast. Another thing people have been asking me is, I get a debate with this all the time on the forums. Bitcoin, or any of these altcoins, whether they should be a currency or a commodity. There's a video, and I'm going to see if I can do this while I'm talking. There's a video where this guy talks about Bitcoin, and he gives a huge, really, really awesome analysis to it. Basically to the point where he says, Bitcoin's probably going to be worth, in 5 years, $1 trillion. Or not Bitcoin, but all the altcoins combined together. The entire market cap of all the coins. And I'll tell you, if that's true, that's incredible. That is just so incredible. I mean, that's like 80-fold the price that it is right now. Let me see. Yeah, his YouTube channel, if you guys want to go check this out, it's World Bitcoin Network. And this guy is so intelligent, and I'm going to contact him because he does really good analysis of Bitcoin, where I assume from the comments I get, I do very good news and tutorial videos on coins and kind of inference videos. And I'd love to have him, do an interview with him, even if it's just a private Skype call, and we're just talking. He sounds like a very intelligent, person, and I think to get his, ideas would be really interesting. His channel, watching that last video he published 2 weeks ago, he talks about, how he compares, Bitcoin and all the altcoins to Twitter and Facebook and, mice populations. And it's so intriguing. I love it. And it's so just simple. Like any average person, I could send them that video and they would understand what this guy's talking about. And he gives a really interesting perspective. Basically what he says is, most of these companies, the reason they're not volatile in their price is because beforehand they're privately owned, or venture capitalists are investing in these Twitter and Facebook, and the price, the value of the price actually goes up and down a lot. It's very volatile. But what happens is by the time it gets up to the IPO, it's usually about the price that the people are willing to pay for it, because the current, not the currency, but the exchanges figure out a price that it's worth. And then they kind of tell the companies, and they come up with an initiating price. And so then once the price, it stays very, very calm, because everybody has access to this coin, or not coin, but to the stock. And it's already experienced that volatile period, where Bitcoin, it's still experiencing that really, really crazy volatile period. And so if you look at his charts and everything and listen to his explanation, he doesn't come out right and say it, but you can interpret just by looking at the graph that he predicts by, 5, 6, 7 years we'll be at $1 trillion market cap. Which, if you don't know, the entire allotment of all gold in the world is worth like $6 trillion. So we'd be 1/6 the size of gold. And I think that means we'd be really, really close to the total volume and value of silver. And that would be a crazy, amazing thing. Now, he talks about how, these altcoins will take, and as well as all cryptocurrencies in general, will take longer than, say, Twitter or Facebook. Because, Facebook's just like a messaging system. It's a social media site. Twitter is more just a, type 140 characters, send a message, where Bitcoin is an invention to fix the banking system of, borderless transactions. I had a couple kids that heard about, apparently there was some guy bought some Ferrari with Bitcoins, and I haven't even heard about it. But everybody in my math class knows I'm into Bitcoin, and they started asking me, did you hear about this guy buying a Ferrari with Bitcoins? And so they started asking about Bitcoin's price and everything, and, it shows that people are getting interested. People say, oh, these stories are worthless if they talk about buying, Ferraris with Bitcoins. Well, obviously they're not, because I had like 7 or 8 kids in my math class excited about Bitcoin for the first time and questioning Bitcoin, asking me questions. And if that's what it takes to get Bitcoin to the mainstream, so be it. It's almost like Bitcoin's to the point where any publicity is good publicity, even if it's bad, because it gets people thinking about Bitcoin. And here I go again, drinking when I'm trying to talk. But they talk about Bitcoin, and they were asking, well, what's its advantages? And I said, well, one of the biggest advantages, that people kind of overlook half the time, is you can send money to anywhere in the world for free. You pay a transaction fee if you want to, but basically you can send it for free without any problem. And they looked at me like, wow, that's actually pretty unique. I'm like, yeah, you send money to Mexico, you're going to pay a fee to send it there and also to convert it to the Mexican currency. Where Bitcoin, it's a global, I consider it a global commodity / currency. A lot of people look at it as just a global currency. But, you can send that very far and wide without really incurring too many fees or, substantial, account fees, because we all know when you're trying to send stuff like Western Union, they have fees, or PayPal, they have like a percentage plus a set amount of money you have to pay. And Bitcoin kind of gets rid of all that. People ask me, what do I see Bitcoin as in the next 5 to 7 years? I see Bitcoin as a commodity that starts to turn into a currency that also really as almost a hedge of investment. You know what I mean? It's quite unique if you think about it. But it's just one of these things where people have asked me over and over, do I think Bitcoin will succeed? And I think it will. Of course, if you're watching this podcast, you probably think so as well. So, it's just one of these really intriguing things. Sorry, my throat itches. It's like really, really coffee. I'm like, you can probably tell when I had the mic up here. The mic sounded a little differently, but also got a better sound of what my voice sounds like. It's kind of like a medium. It's like half, mic too close, half me being sick, and like just really confusing. But my voice sounds really, really weird right now. Of course, it could be just me thinking it sounds weird, and it might just sound normal to you guys. I really don't know. But yeah, let's get back into these cryptocurrencies and talk about which ones I see promising and everything. But yeah, definitely check out, and I'll do a free shout out to this guy, this World Bitcoin Network. He says he's going to start doing active videos the 1st of January 2014. I'll be honest, I'll be one of the few people that'll start watching because I am so intrigued because his video was so just smart sounding. It's just very intelligent, and I like his analysis. They sound very well put together and very well comprehensible. So I'm going to go back to CoinMarketCap. Of course, if you guys know me, this is like one of my favorite, things. It's just an incredible, incredible site. Prices are still up. Oh, here we go. Yep. More prices are just going. Guys, I can't stress this enough. These coins are exploding right now. And, it's remarkable. People have asked me, and this is one concern I wanted to bring up in the podcast. People keep saying, Jason, why aren't you doing more videos? I want more videos. And I'll be honest, it's hard, guys. Right now, I have finals this week. I had a couple last week for college. I'm going to be finishing up soon. Thursday will be my last day. Then I'll have the rest of December to just do videos, do podcasts. But one of the things people have such a hard time comprehending is it takes me, like 3 to 5 hours to produce these videos. Doesn't count the time I have to sync all the videos up. Honestly, it doesn't take that long. But I gotta render, I gotta edit it. A lot of times, like if I do the sit on mic here that I've been testing, it's a monotone or a mono, I think mono, just a mono sounding system, whatever that means. It basically means one input. So then I have to go in and switch it so it's a stereo output, which again doesn't take very long, but it's just numerous steps I have to do to produce videos. And also I want my videos to be of the highest quality, so it does take more time. Again, I've had a lot of people ask me, do I accept donations? I actually do. I do accept donations. In my, if you're watching YouTube, it's down here. Oh, I got a great thing to tell you guys. I just thought of it, and I'm so excited for it. But yeah, first of all, donations. If you guys want to donate, I'm gonna put all my addresses. The top ones, I still gotta add Purecoin and PrimeCoin, I believe, to the info box down below. Because I actually had someone offer, and they actually said, hey, I really loved your Corkcoin videos. I know you were really kind of middle of the line type of dude. You were very neutral. I know a lot of people that are very hardcore Corkcoin fans didn't really like it, but I thought it was very informative. And he actually sent me 100 Corkcoins, which blew me away. It's so exciting that people are willing to donate. Again, I tell people this over and over. I don't accept coins for payment. But if you want to donate, that's pretty awesome too. I've had a few people actually remarkably email me and say, hey, look, I know I can't pay you to do a video. I don't want you to, but hey, could I pay you, $25-$50 to kind of bump up this coin and do a video on it? Like I had a guy email me, he wanted to pay me $25 to do a honest video review about Anon coin, ANON. It's kind of like stable coin. And one of the things that it kind of is an incentive. It's like, well, I have a list and it's upstairs, but I literally have like 30 coins on it I want to do videos about. Well, it might take me, it takes 4 to 5 hours, 3 to 5 hours of research, sometimes more, to do these coins and, email these people and everything, get information. Guess what? It might be the end of January before I have or maybe even February, before I have every single crypto coin mentioned. And what I usually do is I go down and order by the market cap and how much they're worth, because usually the higher end coins people want to watch more videos about. So, if you guys, and I'll be honest, it's not like a bribe. It's more of like, hey, if you want to pay me, to bump that coin up, I'll do it. That might seem kind of shady, but I really don't think so. You know what I mean? If you guys know YouTube payments, which I'm not allowed legally to disclose how much I get paid, but I don't get paid very well. I mean, the amount of work I put into these videos, the amount of research, it's not very much. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, just do it. Well, I love my videos. I love doing these videos. There's a reason I do them 3 times a day. I'm already reading the forums so much. Every free minute I'm reading on the forums, trying to, research these altcoins, trying to really, learn well. But, it's not a very financially wise thing for me to do. One of the things, I worked in the summer, and me and my dad have been talking about me working during the school year, and I said, well, I think this YouTube thing will eventually get to a point where it, eventually will help me make some money. I can't disclose this, but I make a decent amount a day. I'll say this, it's less than a cup of coffee I make a day. Very far less than a cup of coffee. Probably, I don't really think of anything less than a cup of coffee a day. I don't make very much money on these videos. And days that I don't post videos, I make like nothing. I do get views, but people don't watch the ad at the beginning or whatever. I don't really, and I'm not saying don't watch it. I'm not saying to watch it or not watch it. I'll say that right here. It's just that determines how much money I get paid. So really for me, I would love if you guys, people say, well, I don't really feel like I can donate very much. Don't worry about that. People freak so much out about it. If you have 10, and this might seem crazy, but if you want to donate 10 cents one time a year, that is a big deal to me. I know people say, well, 10 cents, but over the course of all these people, 10 cents is a big deal to me, because 10 people equals $1, and you know what I mean? That's a decent amount. That's around what I make, not even close, less than what I make a day. You know what I mean? Yeah, less than I make a day. So, it helps. And I don't mean, I'm not asking for donations. Just thought I'd bring that up. I had a lot of people asking me how they would donate and through what means. So I thought I'd talk about that. Anyway, to finish up this podcast, I got the coolest thing. I'm going to be talking about this in my next episode of Cryptocurrencies Podcast with Dalton. Me and Dalton, I'm not going to disclose anything yet. And my camera just went off. So I am going to pause real quick before I talk about this story. I'm going to turn my camera back on, and I'll be right back. Hey guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. My camera, keeps shutting off. DSLR cameras and SLR cameras, they only last for like 20 minutes max with recording time. So even though my mic can record for 20, I think it's 26 hours it can record for, my camera can't. Eventually, if this YouTube channel ever gets big enough, I'd like to invest in a very cheap, maybe like $100 or $200 camcorder. Even though the quality wouldn't be as well, it'd be nice to just have a camera that I can just turn on and it records for the entire, allotted amount of time. But anyway, don't worry about that. I got the camera fixed. I want to get into the thing I was going to talk about. Me and Dalton actually are working on, I won't say the website, but we are working on a website that is going to blow you guys away. I don't know when it's going to debut. It's going to take a while. Dalton's going to be coding it. I'm going to be doing a lot of the news information on it and stuff, and all that, anything content-wise that has to get typed in. I'm going to help him with code about 15-20% of the time. But, I went out, we bought a hosting plan for 2 years. We bought the website domain for 2 years. We're extremely excited about this project. I can't say, there's going to be a lot of calculations and stuff on the website as well. Some really cool stuff. I can't even say what genre stuff we're going to be doing with the calculations. Of course, because until we get it out, I don't want any competitors, jumping on the market. But it's going to be really, really awesome, guys. And I'm really excited. Me and Dalton might talk a little bit about it. Of course, we don't want to, ruin too much of the excitement before the website comes out. But it's, one of those another avenues of adventure that I think are pretty cool. There's a guy that runs another podcast that I love listening to. It's like Bitcoin Talk or something like that. It's really, really interesting. He actually emailed me. He's doing a competition right now to be able to get in, and he wants 8 different people to try to promote podcast, and he's going to donate 1,000 million Bitcoins to the person that is voted the best of. And that actually is about 1 Bitcoin. So I'm actually going to submit some of my podcasts to that, because I would love to be able to get that. I mean, 1 Bitcoin's a lot of money. I'd use all that money to really update my channel stuff, update audio equipment and everything, which would be awesome. But anyway, watch out for this thing that me and Dalton have coming. It's going to be pretty epic, pretty awesome. And guys, I think we're at like the 45 minute mark. I'm not so sure because I kept turning the cameras on and off and everything. But I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I know that for me, it doesn't sound like I'm giving you guys very much information, but I'm getting a lot of positive feedback. So if you guys like this, I'll keep doing it. Of course, sometime this week I'll be coming out with podcast number 4 with Dalton. That will be really, really interesting. I think you guys will love that podcast. But until then, have a great night and go Bitcoin.